Steamed pudding, a grand plum pudding. This is perfect for a festive occasion. I'll start by measuring all my fruits out. A cup of raisins, a cup of dried currants, and then for that truly festive kick, half a cup of diced candied orange peel. And to this, I'll add a cup of walnut pieces. And of course, there's lots of spices involved. Cinnamon, first and foremost, 2 teaspoons, and a half a teaspoon of allspice, a full teaspoon of ground clove, and a teaspoon of grated nutmeg. I like to buy my nutmeg whole and then grate it freshly. I'll also add a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to use a similar technique that I used in the sticky toffee pudding to soak the dried fruits. But instead of soaking it in hot tea, I'm going to use half a cup of brandy. So now all these fruits are going to absorb the brandy. And as the plum pudding slowly steams, it'll steam from the inside out, not just from the outside in. So while these sit and steep, I'll start on the batter. Let me grab 5 eggs. I'll just crack them all into a bowl. And I'll add to that a cup of sugar. Whisk these together, just to combine them. And I add to it a full cup of milk. Stir this. And now I'll sift in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And give it a good whisk just to smooth it out. Now for the next ingredient, of all things, dry breadcrumbs. This is an important ingredient in this particular steamed pudding because it spends, believe it or not, 4 hours on the stove. You want breadcrumbs to plump up that plum pudding. You can actually see how the breadcrumbs are starting to plump up. Now, an important ingredient that makes this plum pudding so rich, a full cup of butter that's been melted. So I'm just gently working in the melted butter. But it really comes down to all these dried fruits that are now ready to go in. Your ratio of cake batter to dried fruits and nuts is about 1 to 1. A teaspoon of baking soda with a tablespoon of hot water, and let it start fizzing a little bit. I add the baking soda to the water so it dissolves and starts working in the plum pudding right away. You can actually see it starting to work and foam up. So it's time to get it in the pan. If you're going to take the time and effort to make a plum pudding, you want the right tool, a plum pudding tin, just like this one. Of course, you can always make a plum pudding without the special tin. Use a bundt pan and then cover it with parchment paper and then foil to ensure that you keep all that moisture in as it steams. So this has been lightly greased and it's ready to fill. Here we go, and just press it to flatten it a little bit. There's a little notch in the pudding mold to hold the lid in place. And now it's ready for steaming. I'm steaming this pudding stovetop, just like the souffle cakes, and I've got a giant stock pot, but this time filled just less than halfway with hot water. It is important as the pudding steams that the water circulates all the way around it. So to keep it from touching the bottom, I simply use a cookie cutter or a ring mold to lift the pudding tin up just that little bit. And the water comes up just under where the lid